and people living with abilities or disabilities. The majority of our citizens still experience high levels of stubborn household poverty, indebtedness, and inequality. And of course, we as a South African nation cannot ignore this reality. Joseph Stiglitz, the Nobel laureate for economics, tells us in his book, The Great Divide, why we should care about the large increase in inequality. It is not only a matter of values and morality, but also of economics, the nature of our society, and our sense of national identity. Going forward, Chairperson, growing our productive sectors and supporting re-industrialization is critical for moving the economy to a different trajectory. State-owned companies exist because they are critical in ensuring that we accelerate the development of our economy and getting more of our citizens to benefit from the fruits of our democracy. We cannot continue with more of our people being excluded from participating in the economy. The capital programs of SOX will allow us to deepen localization of strategic industries, creating opportunities for enterprise development and critical scarce skills development. Chairperson, we recognize that the achievement of the National Development Plan's objectives of improving the social and economic conditions of the citizens, in part, is dependent on state-owned companies' abilities to effectively and efficiently provide the necessary infrastructure and related services. In turn, government as the shareholder expects that the state-owned companies will deliver on their mandate and reduce their reliance on the fiscus. There have been strides in exploring an appropriate shareholder model. We have drawn lessons from countries that have similar challenges, but also we must acknowledge the uniqueness of the South African environment. This is an evolving process, and engagement with various stakeholders are ongoing. In fact, I thought it would take a lot quicker, but because of the high levels of competition amongst the state-owned companies, the process of reforming those state-owned companies will take a bit of time. Chairperson, in the last year, let me tell you why I think it's so efficient if you try to listen to my speech. In the last year, I have been wondering when I'll hear boring voice, pink shirt, honorable pink shirt. In the last year, South Africa experienced a seriously electricity supply constraint, I agree, which resulted in Eskom implementing load shedding. Some of the analysts and prophets of doom had predicted that South Africa was going to experience a complete blackout. I must say this undermined our efforts to position South Africa as a preferred destination for foreign direct investment. If there is one thing that the energy challenge brought, was a mushrooming of energy experts who have now gone undercover since their prophecies have not come true. Some of the debates, and the debaters on my left-hand side, happened in this House. Their policies aren't left, though. Some of the debates happened in this House and influenced perceptions which sought to cast doubt on this government. I am comfortable with the progress that Eskom has made in ensuring security of supply through a sound maintenance program. I want to commend I want to commend...
Honorable Minister, may I welcome our members in the gallery, our guests in the gallery. And please don't participate in the proceedings of this House. You are prohibited by the rules. It's not our liking. So don't clap, but we really welcome you and appreciate your presence. Thank you. Continue, Honorable.
I want to use this opportunity, Chair, to commend Dr. Brian Molefe and his entire team for keeping us on that straight road. And today we can say we're very, very proud. It's almost 9 months without load shedding. They've kept their lights on, and load shedding has become a distant memory. Eskom has been able to reduce. Last year, honourable members of the DA said, they're just load shedding, they're just load shedding. This year they say when the lights are on, it's their job, it's their job. Eskom has been able to reduce the diesel usage, honourable members from the DA, from 800 million rand to 40 million rand since October 2015. In fact, Eskom has been able to build up sufficient capacity to be able to even sell to the region. The new build program has improved the generation capacity. I'm happy to do Energy 101 for you, don't worry. The new build program has improved the generation capacity and created space for Eskom to do the maintenance of the existing plants. In addition to Medupi Unit 6, that is already providing power to the grid, Eskom has now delivered Ingula Units 4 and 3, 333 megawatts each. So it's 333 megawatts times 2. In the next year, Eskom will deliver the remainder of Ingula, and that will be 2 and 1, and it will be an additional 333 megawatts times 2. Collectively, it will be 1,423 megawatts. Over the next 5 years, don't worry about costs, I'll tell you now. Don't worry about costs, I'll tell you now.
Order.
When the DA stops howling, let me tell you, in the next couple of years, we will spend 340 billion rand in capex, Honourable Member Robinson, to ensuring completion of the build and transmission strengthening. With all its challenges, unlike when some of them were in power pre-1994, Eskom has connected 190,000 households to the grid in the last year. 190,000 more families have access to electricity this year. Well, they had nothing when your parents were governing, so don't worry. While having electricity may have become normal to some, for some of you,
honourable members,
is normal. I'd like to welcome today, Honourable Chair, in the gallery, I have Mr. and Mrs. Mbebe from the village of Matitile, whose house received electricity for the first time on the 1st of March 2016. What the honourable members don't realise is that 20 years ago, Mr. and Mrs. Mbebe would not even have been on the list to receive electricity. I have been having, in fact, I have been having discussions with provinces in an effort to come up with sustainable solutions for municipal debt. These engagements are bearing fruit. I am well aware of the need to keep a downward pressure on Eskom's costs, particularly coal, to ensure that electricity remains affordable in an increasingly competitive environment. Eskom primarily sources 51% of its coal from four major key suppliers at a cost of 23 billion rand of Eskom's total costs of coal of 45 billion rand. And this has been happening for 40 years. Every year, they get 23 billion rand annually, and they're only 4 companies. None of them, unfortunately, of the 23 billion has been Gupta owned. Unfortunately. The one thing I can tell you is that mine only cost us 150 rand per ton. The rest, 350 rand per ton, 900 rand per ton of good quality coal. Unlike you, I'm not scared of anybody called Gupta or Rupert or Brown or anyone. Today, Chairperson, I'd like to acknowledge the 20 women from Eskom in this gallery. This afternoon, I will be launching a book on the journey of transformation for women in the last 20 years. We have indeed made progress. Chairperson, Transnet has spent about 124 billion rand on its market demand strategy in the upgrading and building of rail and port infrastructure, the acquisition of new locomotives and wagons for the train system, as well as cranes for the port system. I would also like to put into perspective, I suspect you think it doesn't. Hey, they can't possibly be fitting, can they? The perception of high port costs in South Africa. According to the World Bank report on doing business and trading across countries, South African port charges contribute 15.7%. And this is against an international average of 27.7%. This is also one of those untruths put into the market so that people don't do business in South Africa. The weak performance of the productive sectors of the economy has had a major impact on the realization of the rail volume growth targets. Transnet has introduced various interventions for customers in mining, steel, and container sectors in order to assist to keep them operational and to save jobs. Transnet has given price reductions amounting to more than 2 billion rand in the last calendar year. They have furthermore taken less than inflation price increases in other areas in order to keep businesses afloat and to encourage the road to rail migration initiative. Lots of focus went into improving the on-time departure and on-time arrival of trains to the mining sector, as well as the efficiencies of cargo in transport
Honourable
and port
Minister,
offloading facilities.
Would you please take your seat?
Thank you,
Yes, Honourable
Chairperson.
Member Ollis.
Would the Honourable Golden Dress take a question?
Honourable Member, who are you asking to take the question?
The person at the podium over
No.
there.
Who are you asking? We are in a house.
Yes, The minister who referred to me as the pink shirt.
Honorable member, can you please respect this house?
Well, she
Please.
opened the door to that, Honourable Chair.
Okay. Who do you want to ask the question to?
The minister at the podium. Could she
Thank
take
you
a
very
question?
much. Thank you. Minister, would you like to take a question?
I'm sure you can fax it to me.
Thank you very much. Take your seat,
Brady
Honorable
cat.
Ollis.
Transnet is making good progress in the implementation of Operation Pakisa initiatives that will create the environment for GDP and job creation through the oceans economy. Transnet is in the process of resuscitating the existing ship repair facilities at South African ports in order to serve the market in a safe and efficient manner. Transnet has committed a minimum of 1.6 billion rand towards the upgrade of existing ship repair facilities. Branch lines are currently a relatively underutilized part of the country's transport infrastructure, and it is expected that their revitalization could unlock potential both at a regional and at a national level. South African Express has been experiencing financial difficulties, which are also tied to its business and operating model. The general challenges in the global and local airline industry also contribute significantly to the position of the state-owned airlines. It is their imperative that together with National Treasury, we accelerate on the optimization of the airlines portfolio. Chairperson, our growth story will not change if we do not address the challenges that are faced by our productive sectors of the economy, in particularly manufacturing. We need to enhance the design and manufacturing capabilities of our South African firms to ensure that they can play a part in the global value chains. Transnet Engineering, as well as Denel, are continuously upgrading their capabilities to be able to compete in the global market. This is important for our new growth story. I'm really proud today to announce that the repositioning of Transnet Engineering to becoming an original equipment manufacturer is largely on track. The first batch of the passenger coaches engineered and manufactured by Transnet for Botswana Railways were successfully delivered to Gaborone on the 22nd of March 2016. The 22 coaches already delivered were engineered and manufactured to exact specification at Transnet Engineering facilities in Pretoria and Cape Town. Chairperson, in the gallery today, I would like to acknowledge the 10 engineers from Transnet Engineering Research and Development. They're somewhere in the gallery. There they're standing. They are young people. They represent our different race groups. They present our different gender. They have been given an opportunity by our state-owned companies to make a significant contribution. And that is to build and take our coaches into Africa. Thank you very much. Denel continues to advance its capabilities in the defense and aerospace industry. In this regard, the company is working on the development of the small African regional aircraft that will provide air transport solution for the African market. Furthermore, Denel is working towards the midlife upgrade of the Roy Falk attack helicopter, which I must say is used for peacekeeping purposes in Africa. SAFCOL has developed a strategy to add further value to its saw log product through the upgrade to the Timbadola sawmill in Vembe district in Limpopo and the setting up of a new sawmill and veneer plant in Sabi in Mpumalanga. The intent is to leverage the investment to create community-based manufacturing enterprises in partnership with all the provinces. Our new growth story will be inclusive, Chairperson, if we do not change the growth dynamics in our region. It is very clear that South Africa's development cannot be separated from the development of our neighbors. Our commitment is to ensure that we build the infrastructure that facilitates regional trade and reduce the cost of trade. In the current financial year, we have identified priority markets that will be pursued. These are Tanzania, Kenya and Burundi for Transnet, DRC, Mozambique and Uganda for Eskom, Egypt for Denel, and Ghana for SA Express. With the electrification capabilities built over the last 20 years...
Honourable Minister, unfortunately your time is up. Thank you very much, Honourable Minister Brown. I now invite Honourable Rancho to take the debate forward.
Thank you, Chairperson. The Minister has told you all. You don't have to, I don't have to tell you, I have to politicize you. Chairperson, Honourable Minister Lynn Brown, Honourable Deputy Minister Pulelani Magwanishe, Minister and Deputy Ministers, Members of Parliament, Chairperson and Board Members, Ms. Nondumiso Keswa, the first black female plantation manager who is amongst us, officials from the department and the entities, guests in the galleries, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Chairperson, it is very interesting how 22 years of our democratic governance has led to some honourable members and their constituencies developing incredible amnesia regarding the abject state our country and government were in when the African National Congress came into power in 1994. What is the mysterious sickness that has wiped out their memories? The amnesia that I have referred to has led these members to absolutely forget what the socio-economic conditions were like before, the chasm that existed before between black and white citizens of this country. Instead of them helping in uplifting the lives of poor, particularly black people, they invest their energy in distracting us from the task ahead of us. We will never move away from what we stand for, no matter what. Our vision is clear and our mission is focused. We need to remind these honourable members that African National Congress has a mission of changing the lives of our people, and we will not rest until that is done. Our commitment still stands, and we are the only organization that put people at the center. That is why, even in our selection of ward candidates, we don't impose candidates. We let the people nominate their own candidates. Honourable detractors, can you please line behind us? Because we are the leaders of the society and help moving South Africa forward. To South Africans out there, it is this movement that brought this democracy. It is us that opened the way to right of speech today. These people are abusing that platform for their own interest. Their main interest is to go back to the olden days of dictatorship when addressing the challenges of our country. The seminal manifest of the African National Congress in 1994, the Reconstruction and Development Program, articulated the service delivery challenges facing our country. I want to quote extensively from that document to illustrate the gravity of the situation that faced this country then. I quote, "Our history has been a bitter one, dominated by colonialism, racism, apartheid, sexism, and repressive labor practice. The result is that poverty and degradation exist side by side with modern cities and a developed mining, industrial, and commercial infrastructure. Our income distribution is racially distorted and ranks as one of the most unequal in the world. Women are still subjected to innumerable forms of discrimination and bias. Rural people and youth are marginalized. A combination of lavish wealth and abject poverty characterizes our society. The economy was built on systematical racial division in every sphere. Rural areas were divided into underdeveloped Bantustans and well-developed white-owned commercial farming areas. Towns and cities are divided into townships without basic infrastructure for blacks and well-resourced suburbs of white only. Segregation in education, health, welfare, transport, and employment left deep scars of inequality and economic inefficiency. Violence has a devastating effect on our society, and the need to restore peace and sense of community security is paramount. Close quote. Let me quote again from the very same document. In commerce and industry, very large conglomerates dominated by white control large parts of the economy, cheap labor policies and employment segregation have concentrated skills in white hands. Workers are poorly equipped for the rapid changes taking place in the world economy. The result is that in every sphere of our society, economic, social, legal, moral, cultural, and environmental, South Africans are confronted by serious problems. Close quote. This was just to remind you where we are coming from. We don't use anger in this government or in this country, but we use policies as this government that focus on people only. We had the right of being angry, but we knew it's not going to take us anywhere. Yes, the country was bankrupt, running at a balance of external debt of 20 billion USD. Therefore, before starting to address poverty, inequality, and joblessness that beset black people, we had to pay external debt to international banks, multilateral institutions that had been complicit in funding the apartheid system. Sisuka apo. Let me remind you on the underdeveloped level experience of black people as illustrated by Household Survey in October 1995. The proportion of household in formal brick structures: white 99%, Indian 99%, colored 91%, blacks 61%. Electricity access: white 99%, Indian 99%, colored 99%, blacks 61%. Proportion that of households that access running taps or running water, it's hashtag white 99%, hashtag Indians 99%, hashtag coloreds 72%, hashtag blacks 32%. Access to sanitation, hashtag white 98%, hashtag Indians 96%, hashtag coloreds 64%, hashtag blacks 61%. And proportion of households with telephone connection, hashtag white 84%, hashtag Indians 74%, hashtag coloreds 37%, and hashtag blacks 13%. This picture above shows exactly what President Thabo Mbeki said in 1998 during a budget vote of the Office of the Deputy President at the time, that said South Africa is a country of two nations. And I quote him: "We therefore can boldly say South Africa is a country of two nations. One of these nations is white, relatively prosperous, regardless of gender or geographic dispersal. It has ready access to develop economy, physical, education, communication, and other infrastructure. The second and larger nation of South Africa is black and poor, with the worst affecting being women in the rural areas, the black, rural in general, and the disabled. This nation lived under grossly underdeveloped economic, physical, educational, communication, and other infrastructure," close quote. President Mbeki was castigated by the media at the time of what he said. He was piercing the veil that had been put over all of us that we now are a rainbow nation. We are not going to stop talking about the past and let bygones be bygones and not visit the wrongs that have been visited by our people. We can't stop of what happened because we are still living and we are part of the past. There is still a lot of people, especially black, that needs to be addressed, and there should be freedom dividend that our people has realized in order to match and exceed the apartheid dividend that has accrued to the white people in this country. The state-owned companies have been put at the forefront of this eradication underdeveloped. State-owned company number 1, Eskom, has ensured that electricity access is extended to our people, including those households that in a stone throw from the power station but could not access electricity because those people that were employed there, because of their color, of their skin, were not worthy of having their household connected. Eskom now is in good hands. I say so because last year there was a big cry when there was a load shedding. Everybody worried about the economy falling down. Now load shedding is a thing of the past. No one is shouting. I stood in this podium last year and I said load shedding is not a crisis, but a way of managing electricity. Nakala kweltal. My head was almost chopped off because it was a black woman who knows nothing she was saying, that told that today I can assure you South Africans, this government is hands-on in everything that affects the lives of our people. We are aware that there are people who are trying to destroy all our gains and our endeavors we are making for our people. We are also not surprised that these state-owned companies are attacked daily by the prophets of doom. It is because they are bringing change in the lives of our people and are redirecting the landscape of economy in our country and challenging the monopolistic arrangement of white minority capital. The Department of Public Enterprise had its fair challenge of the SOCs that were bloated and inefficient. This entity has been used to ensure that white folks were guaranteed a comfortable employment. Now that we are taking over and the black youth seem to be doing well, this doesn't augur well to those people who used to loot. The African National Congress had to make some difficult changes in repairing, damaging, and fixing these companies, sometimes stepping on the grounds that are known as the holy grounds. Chairperson, the state through DPE and its state-owned companies have delivered in the path towards uplifting the lives of our people, and so has many other SOCs that are tasked to do so. In order to paint the picture of the progress that has been achieved by the ANC-led government, I want to cite figures. Few figures. In 2015 survey, the Stats SA tells us 79.4 households live in brick structures nationally. The proportion of households with electricity access stands now at 86%. Eskom has electrified 4 million households since 1991. Siyaqhuba. Zange ke yenzeka le nakweliphina ilizwe kuba sikhokhelwa ngumbutho wabantu, umbutho okhathalayo, umbutho ongajonganga sini samntu nambala. Siyaqhuba. Asinamona. In conclusion, Chair, I want to quote the words of a wise man, President Rolihlahla Mandela, after the victory of the elections in 1994. I quote, "Tomorrow, the entire leadership of the ANC and I will be back at our desk. We are rolling out our sleeves to begin tackling the problems of our country is facing. We ask you all to join us. Go back to your jobs in the morning. Let's get South Africa working, for we must together and without delay begin to build a better life for all South Africans. This means creating jobs, building houses, providing education and bringing peace and security."
Thank you.
Siyaqhuba, asihlelanga, silandeleni.
Thank you very much. I will now invite Honorable Mazzoni to take the floor.
Chairperson, Minister, Deputy Minister, fellow members of Parliament and ladies and gentlemen. The Department of Public Enterprises was originally established as a catalyst for privatisation or semi-privatisation of our state-owned entities. And this fact was explained in great detail by Minister Brown in response to a question I once asked her in a portfolio committee. What we have seen, however, is a complete change in policy and ideology from the governing party, and the very mention of the word privatisation is now viewed as a swear word. What is disturbing is the fact that we are, in fact, seeing a form of privatisation of our state-owned entities. It's just that it's being done in an underhanded and reprehensible fashion by allowing a certain family with the surname Gupta to take control, gain tenders and contracts in all our major state-owned entities. The complete politicisation of state-owned entities by the deployment of cadres has become a growing trend that affects our state-owned entities, which only further serves to compound the financial pressures experienced by these sectors for self-interest. There is growing evidence to suggest that the number of state-owned entities that have been captured by the Guptas, with the family allegedly influencing not only ministerial appointments, but also appointments within SOEs themselves. In light of the mounting allegations of influence and interference by this family, I have requested that the Portfolio Committee of Public Enterprises urgently summons the Guptas according to the rules of Parliament, so that a process of inquiry can begin into the capture of state-owned entities by the Guptas. Media reports indicated that former Eskom chairperson Zola Tsotsi had a forced resignation, and it was allegedly orchestrated by the Guptas as a result of him not playing the game. This was after Tsotsi informed Guptas that he could not grant them exclusivity over certain Eskom contracts. The allegations by Tsotsi follow a number of similar accusations that have come to light. For example, the claim by former Minister of Public Enterprises Barbara Hogan that she was placed under immense pressure to meet with the Guptas and they wanted Indian airline, Jet Airlines, the airline responsible for landing the Gupta's wedding plane, just for your information, at Waterkloof Air Base, to have a stake in South Africa. Hogan was replaced by then Minister Malusi Gigaba, who is known to have attended the Gupta wedding in 2013, and my colleague, Hanif Hussain, has also revealed a very worrying trend with Minister Gigaba in the Home Affairs Department. Hogan's claim was in support of the allegations by former senior ANC MP, and I note that term, senior, Faiki Mentor, that she had been offered the position of Minister of Public Enterprise on condition that she drop the SAA route to India and give it to Jet Airlines instead. The allegations by former SAA chairperson, Vuyisile Kona, that he was offered 500,000 rand by the Gupta family in 2012 to secure his cooperation with them is also worrying. Eskom CEO Brian Molefe has also been linked to the Gupta family and has admitted visiting them in Saxonwold. Gupta-owned Tegeta Exploration has recently secured a very lucrative contract to supply Eskom coal to power stations. These allegations necessitate an urgent investigation into the Guptas linked to SOEs by the Portfolio Committee. The Portfolio Committee must immediately summon the Guptas to appear before them in this regard, call former Ministers of Public Enterprises Barbara Hogan and Malusi Gigaba to provide full details of their relationship with the Gupta family. Gigaba, in particular, must account for the allegations or preferential treatment the Guptas received during his tenure, summons the CEOs and chairpersons of the largest SOEs to appear before us, and answer questions regarding their ties to the Guptas. We cannot afford to have a private family enriching themselves from lucrative state contracts while these entities are costing the state billions.
Oh. No, I thought you wanted to speak standing. Continue, Madam.
The ANC must take a stand against the Guptas and President Zuma himself to ensure that corruption on the highest level is eradicated in the interest of building an inclusive economy that benefits all South Africans, not just the connected few. While the DA welcomed President Zuma's recent utterances of the implementation of the recommendations of the Provincial Review Commission, The privatization of state-owned entities must happen as a matter of urgency. It has been 3 years since this report was tabled. If President Zuma is serious about privatizing SOEs, he must announce a deadline for this process to be complete. To this end, the DA suggests that President Zuma ensure the privatization of SOEs.
Order, Chairperson.
Honorable Member, can you take your seat, Honorable Mazzoni? Honorable Member?
Chairperson, I just wanted to check if it's parliamentary for a member to deliberately divert the attention of the debate.
Honorable Member, I think that will be responded to by the ANC members. They have a space. It's a point of debate. Continue, Honorable Member.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chairperson, let's talk a little bit about Denel now. I'll please the Honourable Member. Denel has gone from being the wunderkind of public enterprises to the delinquent child. The non-adherence to the law that Denel is reported to be showing is both unacceptable and demonstrates a complete disregard for process, regulation and good governance. The situation, in fact, has become so untenable that the Portfolio Committee of Public Enterprises had summoned Denel to appear and explain the now infamous VR laser deal on the 4th of May 2016. In response to a question handed in by my colleague, Honourable Murray, it has now come to light that Denel did not apply for the conventional arms permit as envisaged by the Act. This is unacceptable. The deal has also not been approved by Minister Brown or the Minister of Finance, Pravin Gordhan, as is required by the PMFA. In the absence of Denel's permanent chief executive, chief financial officer and company secretary, all of three who are on suspension, there is a strong suspicion that they were removed to clear a path for this deal. The Denel board appeared to have acted outside their authority in announcing this deal prior to its approval. Denel has been generating a profit over the last few years and should be stable enough to seek and proceed this venture without the help of short-term profit seekers. Let us now focus on something that happened that was seriously disturbing, and that is the announcement by the African Development Bank that the settlement is being reached by Hitachi over allegations of corruption in awarding the Medupi contracts by Eskom. This is further evidence of large-scale corruption in the tender process, no doubt involving the ANC and, guess who? Their investment wing, Chancellor House. While the African Bank did not provide details of the allegation, it has found that Hitachi engaged in sanctionable practices in order to be awarded the boiler contracts for this contract. The ANC's Chancellor House allied with Hitachi in 2005 in a raw deal that saw the company purchase a 25% stake in Hitachi for only R1 million. Under the agreement, Chancellor House, an extension of the ANC, would share the profits that were awarded from contracts to Hitachi. Subsequent to concluding this deal, Hitachi was then, wait for it, awarded 38.5 billion rand in contracts by Eskom in 2007 to construct the boilers at Medupi. And I think we all know, honourable members, what happened to those boilers at Medupi. In conclusion, Chairperson, I have absolutely no doubt that Minister Brown and her sweep are going to spin some story about me being negative and trying to bring down the country and all this stuff about state capture. Let us be honest. I personally, members, I expect nothing less from a member and a minister who showed such disdain for the Constitution that she voted against impeaching President Zuma. All I can say is shame, shame, and more shame on you, Minister Brown. The DA will not allow the ANC to prosper at the expense of ordinary South Africans. As long as the ANC continues to put itself first, our nation will always come second. The DA will not support this budget.
Thank you. Honourable members, we are supposed to have Honourable Paulson on the podium. Unfortunately, he's not here. And I must state that he will be given an opportunity, provided he is in here before the sweeper of the ANC and the minister respond. Continue, Honorable Singh.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Chairperson, colleagues, in response to some of the other speakers in this debate before me, let me say that there has been considerable progress made in this country since 1994 in terms of socio-economic development. There were a lot of wrongs that took place during apartheid, but what we must accept, honorable colleagues, there is a lot of wrong taking place post-apartheid. And let us not bury our heads in the sand and believe that nothing is wrong and dismiss the wrong that's happening, because two wrongs don't make it right. And I think sometimes it's good for people to listen to these things instead of just defending and defending and defending all the time. Having said that, Honorable Chairperson, we will support this budget vote. We will support it because there are SOCs under the oversight responsibility of the Honorable Minister. There are 6 SOCs that are there, still under the oversight of the Minister. But having said that, I said this before and I'm going to say it again. And I'm going to ask this question. Is there a need for the Department of Public Enterprises to continue existing at a budget of 274 million rand per annum? The answer to that question is no. Because if you look at the law of diminishing returns, from 10 or 15 SOCs that were under its oversight responsibility many years ago, 9 in 2005 and 6 now, and the possibility of South African Express even moving away, and there will only be 5 left, why is it not possible for Eskom to go under the Department of Energy, Denel to fall under the Department of Defense, SAFCOL to fall under the Department of Agriculture and Forestry? These are questions that we need to ask moving forward. And Honourable Minister and Chairperson, let me say, it's not personal. It's not personal about you or the Deputy Minister, but it's a reality that we face, that can we have a department that has oversight? But having spoken about oversight, Madam Chair, what we read about oversight sometimes is quite disturbing. And I hope that the Honourable Minister can clear some of these misconceptions or perceptions that exist. One is regarding the Alexco and Richterveld community. This is what I've read. The community, through their legal representative, Duncan Korabi, rejected the view presented by Alexco executives to Parliament's Public Enterprises Committee last week about their dispute. That's in this article. Secondly, they've said, and I quote, the Richtersveld community has received no cent from the mining operation since the start of the joint operations. Third thing they've said, Mr. Korabi and Ms. Obi said the matter had been raised with Public Enterprises Minister Lynn Brown, but she seemed to have done nothing. That's what I'm reading. Then if we move to Denel and this arm's length approach that I spoke about, Minister, because you have the responsibility of oversight, crack the whip. And I can assure you that the Portfolio Committee, all parties, will support you in whatever action you want to take. We are very glad that the chairperson of the committee agreed the other day, after Honorable Mazzoni raised the issue, that not the Guptas, but Denel should be invited to the committee on the 4th of May to explain exactly what is happening about these quote-unquote dubious transactions with certain people that are well known to government. But here's another one, Madam Chairperson. Denel bypasses Brown in firing CE. Now, these are things we read. And we want to know, Madam Minister, are you holding the reins tight enough? Because you need to do that. Let's talk about South African Express and the SAA. They're going to merge, but merging is not going to be the panacea to the problems. If we're going to have the kind of leadership that SAA has had over the number of years, then woe betide us. It's not only about merging, but it's about how they manage it going forward. As I said, we will support this vote. Thank you.
Isikhulumi esilandelayo, umhlonishwa Khubisa.
Sihlalo siyabonga kakhulu namalunga ahloniphekile lendlu. Thina njenge National Freedom Party sihlalo sithi i-department kufanele ibheke ukuthi lama SOEs ayasebenza yini futhi sibheke ukuthi sisuka kuphi kwenziweni phambilini. Siqaphela futhi ukuthi kuningi okwenziwe kodwa asikafiki la kufanele kuye khona uma lezi inhlangano engaphansi kahulumeni zingasebenzi ngendlela okuyiyo. Kodwa futhi fanele sibheke ukuthi umnotho wazo kade uphethwe obani, basawuphethe yini. Sibheke ukuthi isimo se-transformation siyadingeka. Uma sikhuluma ngo-Eskom, sikhuluma ngo-SAA, asibheke ukuthi obani abathola imisebenzi noma bebethola imisebenzi kulezi inhlangano kuqala. Sibheke ukuthi abantu abamnyama bayawathola namathuba emisebenzi kuzona ngoba sekuyisikhathi sokuthi bathola amathuba emisebenzi, banikezwe ama-skills abawafanele ukuthi bathola. Bengezwa nje ukuthi khona u-SAA, bengezwa khona u-Eskom, bengezwa khona uDaniel kodwa bengawathola amathuba emisebenzi. Bese kuthi labo abahlale bewubuso obufanayo bengena bethola umsebenzi ngoba abantu bazibuza ukuthi yini ubuso obufanayo kube yibona obuthola umsebenzi njalo. Sikunciphise sazi ukuthi khona nabanye abangakufanele bathatha amathuba kulezi inhlangano bathola imisebenzi. Ngicabanga ukuthi ke sihlalo ngqongqoshe yiloko kubalulekile ukuthi masilungisa lezi zinto sibheke ukuthi abantu abamnyama bayangena yini, bayawathola yini amathuba emisebenzi. Bengezwa nje ukuthi khona lezi inhlangano ziyasiza. Nanokuthi obunye sishintshe ubuso, sibheke ukuthi amathenda betholwa obani. Siyilungise leyo nto ukuze sibuyele esimeni okuyisona sona. Bese kuthi futhi kungabe ukuthi yilabo abaphezulu kakhulu ama-senior executives ahola amahola amakhulu bese kuthi abantu abenza imisebenzi la phansi abatholi lutho. Kufanele nje masiya kwa-SAA sibuke ukuthi abantu abamnyama bangaka abangama-pilots, bangaka abesifazana abangama-pilots, bayangena yini, bayawathola namathuba ngokushesha ukuze babe yingxenye yalezi igungu kahulumeni. Ngicabanga ukuthi leyo nto ibalulekile kakhulu ke ngqongqoshe. We therefore encouraged by the procurement pronouncement by the Minister of Finance that state-owned enterprises will no longer be viewed as sacred cows. The NFP is excited that the prospect of reforms and the possibility of shutting down or privatizing those unnecessary entities which do not rationally link with the department's development objectives. And as the shareholder representative of government, the department has a role to play to ensure that stained companies and entities fulfill their developmental goals and as far as they are linked to the NDP. When you look at the budget distribution in the report tabled here today, we share the concern of the portfolio committee that the personnel budget of the department is too biased towards the administration rather than focusing on sector-specific specialists, which is required for oversight. We also know that there's a consistent, disproportionately high use of consultant budget reform. The NFP says that the department must reduce the use of consultants so that there are skills that are there in a permanent basis within the department. Finally, the National Freedom Party agrees that the department should consider relocating part of the budget allocated for the program administration to the sector oversight program, and that the department reduces the use of consultants and invests in building internal capacity through incentivizing scarce and critical skills and investing in a skills development program to ensure that the department is properly reduced. Finally, the National Freedom Party supports the budget.
Ra leboga. Sibuyise silatelang ke Mohlomphehi Matias. Order.
House Chair, since the EFF uncovered the state capture by Zuma and Gupta corrupt coalition, it is now clear that the rot and corruption is facilitated by you, Minister, your Ministry of Public Enterprise. As the EFF will not be party to the looting of state resources, and we therefore do not support budget vote for public enterprise. We know for a fact that the Gupta family appointed your predecessor, now Minister of Home Affairs, and you, Minister. Before you, other men and women who are more honorable were offered your job on the condition that they turn a blind eye to the looting and at times facilitated it. They refused. Obviously, something you, Minister, was not capable of doing, driven by greed, and the facts that we'll present here are undeniable evidence. The Gupta needed you, Minister, to secure Eskom coal contracts at inflated prices. And now, it is workers and poor South Africans who are stuck with outrageous and unaffordable electricity prices. The Gupta needed you, Minister, to turn a blind eye while Denel, state-owned arm manufacturer, was issuing a steel-cutting tender of 10 billion to a 24-year-old son of Atul Gupta. It was not a surprise to see you change Denel board but retained only one member who happened to be a business associate of the Gupta family. The Gupta needed you, Minister, to sit, watch, and do nothing, as the incompetent Dudi Myeni wanted to cripple SA Airways by entering into a financial insane and unjustifiable lease agreement as long as your master stood to benefit. The Gupta needed you, Minister, and the puppet you appointed to the Transnet board, Mr. Sham, who happened to be a business associate of the Gupta, to loot more than 50 billion from Transnet in a locomotive tender. All other state-owned entities, SA Express, Port Brand in Franco, and others are not immune to capture. They are all captured and facilitating the loot under your watch. It is now official. It is under your watch, Minister, that a democratic South Africa experienced the biggest capture, looting and corruption by a sitting president and his corrupt friends. Had it not been your role and facilitation,
On the point of order, Chair.
Gupta state capture would have been near impossible,
On the point
if
of
not
order,
difficult.
Chair.
Honorable Matiasi, please take your seat. Honorable Khadev.
Chairperson, the Speaker has just made an allegation that the President has captured the land. So that there's no competent authority which has made that determination. Can you rule on that?
I will look into that. I'll look into that. Thank you. Continue.
Only a fool will deny the obvious and the ruling of the Concord. What is even more disturbing
exposed to. Today, same age as Solomon Mahlang when he was hanged, a group of 5 interns at Dinel developed a tactical observation ball system that can be used by soldiers for surveillance without putting their lives in danger. Young people at Dinel are at the forefront of making South Africa to rise from her ashes. Lindokuhle Mpanza, who's 30 years old, and Anis Punen, who's 32 years old, are software engineers at Dinel Aviation who developed a computerized Oryx mission planning system that is used by the South African Air Force pilots on the Dinel manufactured Oryx aircraft to plan their missions and share information across locations. Silayalo Mujela, who is 31 years old, and Isaac Sokua, who is 34 years old, developed a robot to detect landmines, which minimizes the risk on human lives. It is easily monitored through its own board camera and there's a wireless route that sends information back. Our young people are giving meaning to the hope of Solomon Mahlangu through innovation. In 2015, Dinel invested 467 million in research and development for developing a new small African regional aircraft called SARA. SARA will serve regional destinations that are currently not accessible to existing passenger planes. Preshin Govender, 30 years old, Puselezo Matlala, 28 years old, Nadira Hassim, 26 years old, are 3 of our young female engineers involved in the project. We are aware that some of the great innovators do not reach post-matric institutions. Transnet, working with the South Africa Bureau of Standards, wants to unearth that talent at secondary schools. They have conceptualized a design and innovation skills development program based on the SABC Design Institute. The intention is to have many design institutes in rural provinces of our country, such that anyone, especially young people with a product idea, are able to walk into the center and emerge with a blueprint, including a patent of the concept, and start commercially exploiting that idea. Already with the Design Institute in Pretoria, they have discovered a 16-year-old Vuyo class from Monwabisi High School in DR in the Northern Cape, an asthmatic learner who was assisted to design a master duster that is currently at a prototype stage. This duster is able to recycle the chalk as it dusts. If this product succeeds, it can be a game changer in Africa, whose schools still use blackboards and the chalk. Matlalane Ramashiane from Club View Secondary School in Puta Dichaba in the Free State, who is in grade 10, designed a concentration armband. It detects concentration levels of people This is also still at a prototype stage. Through the Design Institute, we envisage building of new industries that will help fight unemployment and grow the economy. Chairperson, our SOCs were given a target of producing 11,958 technical trainees by the Skills Accord. Eskom, Transnet, and Denel enrolled and qualified 13,405, exceeding the target. The skills were as follows: 5,300 artisans, 3,876 technicians, 1,599 engineers. SAFCOL has also been able to produce 65 foresters. South African Express has enrolled and qualified 100 pilots. Transnet and Eskom were able to employ a total of 8,117 of the qualifying technical graduates. Beyond these numbers, Transnet, in support of Operation Pakista's ocean economy, has opened a maritime school in KwaZulu-Natal and in the Eastern Cape. Moving forward, Transnet will be spending 34 million rands in the next 2 years to produce 415 artisans and engineers in the marine-related occupations. Eskom is planning on training 100 nuclear plant operators over the next 5 years. SAFCOL has appointed the first black female plantation manager in the country, Ms. Nondumiso Keswa. Our SOCs have continued to support TVET colleges through various partnership agreements, focusing mainly on learner support, lecturer support, donation of machinery and equipment, curriculum support, as well as participation in TVET college councils. During the 2015-2016 financial year, this support has been extended to technical high schools, which are feeder schools to TVET, to both TVET colleges and state-owned companies themselves. Denel has provided support to 4 colleges in Gauteng to the value of 523,000, covering bursaries for engineering students and experiential learning. Alesco supported 14 colleges in both the Northern Cape and the Western Cape to the value of 515,000 over the past financial year. Over the past 3 years, Eskom has donated machinery and equipment to support electrical workshops to 8 TVET colleges in 8 provinces, and Transnet is also doing the same. To those who said, what is the use of teaching a Bantu child maths and science? Where is she going to use it? Through our SOCs under the ANC-led government, they are using it. Chairperson, please allow me to acknowledge a remarkable South African whom we have met during our career expo to Entlazeni municipality, Mr. Mpapane and Mrs. Mpapane. He is a maths teacher who has produced distinctions for the past 18 years. He is a teacher at Nkomazi High School. He has produced no less than 10 doctors, 15 engineers, chartered accountants, and many other professionals. We are proud of your contribution, sir. Eskom has devised Contractor Academy as a tool to equip emerging contractors and suppliers, especially black women and youth-owned companies, with the relevant competencies to sustain and grow their businesses. Over the last 3 years, 518 contractors were trained from all 9 provinces. This benefited both women and youth contractors. These SOC investment programs are executed in provinces with a view to aligning with provincial programs. We are working with the Gauteng provincial government in realizing the implementation of TEPO 500,000 over the next 5 years through a set of identified projects. On CSI, our SOCs have been exemplary. ESCOM is committed to developing a strong base of educated and skilled young South Africans in the field of science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and innovations for learners in grade 6 to grade 12 through its Young Scientists Expo. In 2015, the Expo saw over 12,000 learners participating from all 9 provinces. This is the program that discovered the Umtata-based Mr. Sia Uza. Today, he represents a few of our own to have graduated from Harvard University and to have a planet named after him because of his excellent contribution to the development of renewable energy. We are working on this expo being a feeder to the Design Institute. Through this process, we are creating new horizons for young engineers and artisans who are entering the industry. SAFCOL brought hope to the people of Nongoma. They built a daycare center, a primary school, a community hall, a borehole for both the community and the school. All our SOCs have been responsible corporate citizens. Last year, we spoke of our commitment to contribute to the transformation of the legal fraternity. The Department of Public Enterprises has developed and is implementing a transformation framework and guidelines intending to unlock opportunities for black lawyers and black law firms for meaningful economic empowerment. The Director General will be monitoring the process through the Group Chief Executive Officers. As the department, we have briefed black attorneys and black advocates in more than 90% of our matters. The DPE has a program of assisting their legal interns post their internship period. The program entails assisting them with registration into the practical legal training school. We also assist them to find firms to serve their articles of clerkship. Mrs. Tlamachi Sandaba from the Eastern Cape is here with us today. She is currently running her own law firm in Gauteng. She is one of the beneficiaries of the program. We continue to foster collaboration between the public and the private sector. This is evidenced by the support both the private and the public sector companies had on Mamilong Technical High School in Tsakane in the Ekurhuleni Metro. Through this initiative, 3 of the school's workshops are being equipped with machinery and equipment by Hamesa Group, an engineering and mining company. It is one of the suppliers of Transnet. Ms. Bongile Tsoteti, the MD of Hamesa Group, is here with us today. We thank you and your company for the partnership. We believe that through the creation of new industries, the South African economic landscape is bound to change. Our state-owned companies have been at the forefront of supporting the program of industrialization. Comrade Solomon Mahlangu, we are continuing with the fight. Comrade Hector Peterson, we are continuing with the fight. To all our fallen heroes and heroines, we are continuing with the fight. We ask you to support this budget vote. And I thank you.
Thank you very much. Ngifuna ukubulela kubutishara abasilethela ingane zethu in the gallery members. They are 6-7-year-olds and they are clapping and clapping. Siyanimukela, siyanithanda. Siyabonga ukuthi nibalethe ligojwa lisesemanzi. Nethi batsheleni bangashayi izandla lapho ma'am. Thank you very much. Honorable Member Nkwankwa.
Thank you. Siyabulela House Chair. Indeed, Matse Molweni bantwana bam. United Democratic Movement iyayixhasa le budget vote. Nto nje izawuthetha izinto zibembalwa. Kuqala ndifuna ukuthi bekuthiwe apha uHonorable Ranto uthe ethatha inxaxheba kwenye idebate wathi iANC ziblessers. Ndifuna uwona ke ngoku electorate ukuthi funeka bayazi iblessers kaloku zinotorious ngokuza zivuphethe plastic zivule ngedolo kuba zijonga amaqithiqithi esawufumana amaqithiqithi umuntu anyamalale so bazaniblessa before the elections and then after that banilibala umbuzo uthi ngoba kaloku kudala siyithetha kwamhlandlolo kuba as SOEs sinendima enkulu kwanye nebalulekileyo zifana ukuthi ziyayidlala ekuphuhliseni uMzantsi Afrika kwanye nokuphuhlisa ezoqoqosho zelizwe ingxaki etshisa ibunzi imphathiswa kukuba kudala ziqhwalela ngobuninzi as-SOEs into ngoku esixhalabisa ngakumbi into bufumanisa ukuthi njengoba honorable Singe besitsho kuba ziqhwalela singafumani indlela uzimisa ziye zinqongophala ziye ziphela eziphansi kolawulo lwakho kodwa ke ndifuna ubuyela kwinto ekudala siyithethe ekomitini ukuthi siyazama ukuthi as-SOEs sizinyule kule nyula zizifumana zikuyo nto nje without having access to the shareholder compact it's becoming increasingly difficult for us to be able to play an effective oversight role over these SOEs. Because we have a situation where uzawufumanisa ukuthi ngoku uzawuxelwa ngabo ukuthi benivumelene ngantoni asiyazi thina. We don't even know how you arrived at a particular decision. We are not saying that we are the ones who are supposed to be setting the targets and the strategic objectives, obviously, for these SOEs. But the bottom line is we must be able to assess whether or not enough stretch and pull has been built into the target second process, and to also try and understand the rationale behind making certain decisions. Into endiphinde ke ngoku isiwarishe thina into ba niphinda kwanina nithi masibeke iliso kuzwe eze-SOEs sithi sisajonge leyo nicela sokhetya nimane nizintsentsetha phofu nibe nigusha iiguptas apha ekhwapheni. In essence nithini ngeliphandle neeguptas zithi hayibo siyayibona mosipaphandle ufuna ndibe kweyiphi into kaloku ndingowaseMzantsi Afrika mna kuqala. In essence the Guptas are saying to you guys, go and get the mandate to govern South Africa from the electorate and we'll govern the country for you. Bacho bayaqhuba saqhube nina. The other issue which is very important, Minister, is that we keep on talking about this issue of free basic alternative energy policy. And we say that because there's a policy in place, therefore municipalities should be actually doing their job. But on the contrary, what is happening on the ground is that they lack the capacity to actually implement the policy. I don't even think that they do have the resources to actually make it happen. Now, the challenge you have is that you have a old age pension or social grant that increases by 10 rands. And then your electricity tariff increases by more than the inflation rate. And you expect our people to be able to afford electricity. Something has got to give at some point. Because remember, the other issue which is critical here is that even the free units, they should compensate for their below the inflation rate increases to their social grants. And the fact that they are becoming poorer by the day. Into hayi bayibhatala ufi units iphela ingekapheli neveki bethu nani lento ifuna ukulungiswa kuba it's the poor that bear the brunt ya yonke lento iqhubeka apha ngaphandle. Coming back to the issue of state capture, the issue obviously when you go to denial and other SOEs, it feels like the issue is clear that they have now, some of the entities have been emboldened to the point where they can willy-nilly ignore instructions from the minister, address government and ask politicians via the media before they've even actually come to the portfolio committee to account on certain issues that are critical.
Honorable
We
Kwakwa.
can't afford to have that. Siyabulela.
Thank you. Honorable Groenewald.
Agbare voorzitter, die agbare minister kom hierso en sy kom spog oor Eskom omdat daar nie beurtkrag is nie. Maar agbare minister, hoekom was daar in die eerste plek beurtkrag gewees? U wil die indruk wek dat die ANC regering doen geen foute, hulle maak nie 'n fout nie, hulle voorsien krag aan die mense van Suid-Afrika. Maar dit is die ANC regering wat veroorsaak het in die eerste plek dat Eskom nie kon krag voorsien het nie en dat ons dan beurtkrag gehad het, wat die ekonomie van Suid-Afrika miljarde rande gekos het. En u moet dankie sê vir die voormalige president Thabo Mbeki. Want in 1998, toe het Eskom 'n volledige ontwikkelingsplan op sy tafel gesit as adjunkpresident en gesê, tree op, anders gaan ons in 2007 beurtkrag hê. Hy het dit van die tafel afgevee. Nou wil ek vir u vra, wat is die fout met u regering? Kan u nie vooruit beplan nie? Wil u nie vooruit beplan nie? Wat is die probleem? Hoekom wag die ANC-regering elke keer dat daar eers 'n krisis ontstaan en dan skrik hulle wakker en dan wil hulle iets begin doen? En nou wil ek vir u sê, u het hier baie mooi vertel hoe goed gaan dit in Eskom, maar dis teen 'n prys. En dit is die verbruiker wat daardie prys moet betaal. As u wil spog oor die regering of een van u entiteite, dan gaan ek u geluk wens met die 10 ingenieurs wat opgestaan het. Jong mense, wat daarom 'n boodskap vir die jeug van Suid-Afrika gee, wat sê, as jy goed studeer, en jy sorg dat jy goed gekwalifiseer is, dan is daar werksgeleenthede. So die Vryheidsfront Plus wens daardie 10 ingenieurs ook geluk. Agbare minister, ek kom by Denel. Wat gaan aan by Denel? Daar is 'n Denel eisje, hulle gaan neem deel aan 'n Defence Expo in Goa in Indië, maar die minister van Finansies sê, hy het dit nie goedgekeur nie. U self het dit nie goedgekeur nie. En die NCACC, the National Conventional Arms Control Committee, van die agbare Gadebe, hy sê maar hulle het dit ook nie goedgekeur nie. Maar, agbare minister, hulle gaan vertel vir die wêreld by 'n Defence Expo, koop by ons. Ons is die entiteit. Ek wil vir julle sê, dit is internasionale bedrog. Ek sê dit weer. It is international fraud to allow Denel Asia to participate in the Defence Expo where they don't have the authority to do so. And you are the minister to blame for that. And the question is, what are you going to do? Agbare minister, die vraag oor die kundigheid in Suid-Afrika. En kan ek maar vir die agbare minister sê, voor ek 'n lid van die parlement geword het, het ek vir 10 jaar vir die filiaal van Denel gewerk. Suid-Afrika beskik oor die tegnologie. Hy beskik oor die kern of die krag en die breinkrag en die kundige tegniese vermoëns om produkte van internasionale gehalte te kan lewer. U het die 10 ingenieurs gestel. Nou vra ek vir u, wat is daar in Denel Asia wat gelewer kan word, wat Suid-Afrika met sy eie kundigheid nie self kan lewer nie? U wil graag werksgeleenthede skep. U wil die tegnologie in Suid-Afrika hou. Hoekom moet Suid-Afrika na Asië of Denel Asia toe gaan om daardie tegnologie te ontwikkel? Ons het die vermoë en gebruik dit in die belang van Suid-Afrika. Ek dank.
Honorable Liange.
Honorable Chairperson, allow me to greet all ministers that are here present, the Deputy Minister for this department, officials and leaders of all the state-owned companies. In the interest of time, mandithi nganga nentsibazayo. Mandikhawuleze ndikhawule ndiwarhuqa ndingakhange ndihambe nalomkhiba wabantu abathetha izinto abangazaziyo nabangenakuzenza. The House Chairperson should be pleased for the progress that the Department of Public Enterprises has made in turning around the state-owned companies in its portfolio. We have heard the annual reports of the SOC's tables in the Portfolio Committee, and across the board, the SOCs have presented impressive turnaround in their finances. I would like to give a summary of the performance of the SOCs as per the 2014-15 annual reports. Alexco increased its revenues by 49% in 2014-15 from 13-14 from 141.3 million in 2014 to 211 million in 2015. The improvement, Chairperson, in revenue performance was due to 59% increase in the carats produced to 74,387 carats. The comprehensive income of the SOEs, even with the 162 million impairment due to properties that it had to hand over to Richtersveld communities as part of the land restitution, was 71.4 million, which is a 44% increase from 2013-14. The recommencement of land mining operations at Maesvlak has meant that 208 job opportunities have been created for the communities of Richtersveld. This took the total number of employees at Alexco to 1,000 when the contractors' employees are factored in. In the sparsely populated region where Alexco operates, these numbers are indeed a big deal, and it means that there is a lot of families that can have a better life because of the state-owned companies. DNL has become a giant of the world, being rated amongst the top 100 defense companies in the world. And the defense company in our continent with the capability to design, develop, and manufacture advanced weapons systems. The reputation has been matched by the financial performance. Your Honor, the revenues for the year increased by 28% to 5.8 billion, with the export sales accounting for 3 billion of these revenues. The business kept its expenses under control to almost double its profit to 270 million. The future of the business was also guaranteed by 470 million in research and development. This means that the business will keep up with the pace of technology and keep products up to date. Your Honor, Eskom, the biggest electricity utility company on the continent, has not only stabilized the grid, such that we can today confine load shedding, the word which not so long ago was on the tongue tips of South Africans, to the dustbin of history, but has improved its finances under tough trading conditions. Congratulations, Dr. Fix-It. The consumers are hard-pressed with the economic conditions that we find ourselves with indigency in our working communities, meaning that utility bills are that much harder to pay. The representations to the regulator have understandably not yielded the tariff increases that Eskom would have expected. Despite these difficulties, the SOCs has been able to see an improvement in its finances, with revenues for 2014-15 reaching 145 billion and maintained its profitability. 160,000 households were connected by the utility, and the same rate of connections is expected to be maintained in the 2015-16 financial year. The utility performance in its build program, as related by the Honorable Minister, has to be commended, with maximizing socio-economic impact being at the forefront of its expenditure programs. SAFCOL revenues increased to 898 million in the 2014-15, with profits reaching 200 million. The business is sustainable and not a drag on the state. 5,000 people are employed at the business on permanent and seasonal contracts, which means that the business in the rural province of Limpopo, KwaZulu-Natal, and Mpumalanga has a significant economic impact. The sawlog produced by the SOC is well regarded internationally, with few international forestry companies producing clear 30 years old sawlog. Chair, the South African Express has had challenges, but through the austerity measures that it has committed to, it is aiming to turn the corner and play the role of linking secondary air travel destinations in the country and regionally to the major hubs, enabling economic activity. The austerity measures aim to address certain cost items and enable the business to concentrate on core business. The business has realized major cost savings through flight schedule and route network optimization, revision of contracts, and insourcing. The airline has been able to reduce costs significantly, and the strides made in this regard are beginning to show. SA Express has moved from a 132 million net loss, Mamela, in the 2014-15 financial year to a net profit of 2 million as at the end of February 2016. Congratulations, CEO. Mfokantshanga siyaniva niyagalela mfana kuthi. The turnaround at SABC shows that the DPE has developed appropriate tools to return entities to profitability where and when they find themselves troubled. This expertise should be made available to the rest of the SOCs in the state portfolio. Congratulations, Honorable Minister Brown. Now Mfokamagwanishe siyaqhuba. Transnet has lived up to the expectations of government in maintaining the logistics backbone of the country through efficient rail, port and pipeline operations. In order to assist in improving the competitiveness of our country, the SOC has devised the market demand strategy to which by 2014-15 it had committed almost 100 billion of resources raised of its balance sheet. The investment has made Transnet a world-class operations and with revenues of over 60 billion rand, easily amongst the biggest companies in the country and the continent. The SOCs in the 2015-16 financial year are expected to maintain the positive performance and continue to play an active in ensuring a better life for our people. We commend the department on the result obtained by its SOCs. Sifuna ukutsho ke sithi njengombutho wesizwe bonke abangqolayo bekhwaza inqwelo ehambayo siyayazi into yokuba inqwelo ehambayo iyakhonkothoa zizinja kanti emileyo ziyayichamela. Ndifuna uyithetha icace lento ukuthi egameni lombutho wesizwe we are a responsible organization and we are also prepared to take the blame as and when we are required. The attack to the president, the attack to the current president, the attack to the previous two presidents before President Zuma was not necessarily an attack to the personalities, but those were attacks and are still attacks to the ANC. And the attack to the ANC is an attack to the growth and the democracy efunyanwa ngabantu baseMzantsi Afrika. Ninani lapho elisukilisiki elimpopo, ninani lapho emthakatye elibode, umbutho wesizwe ukhona utsho uthi usapho lakwaZuma, usapho lakwaMbeki, usapho lakwaMandela bangaqumbi baqalekise le attack ayiyo yabo. uNkulunkulu uzawubabona abantu abacekela phansi abantu abenza izinto zokwenyani. Honorable Minister, we have a responsibility to give a pat on the back of a shoulder of a child when he does right, and when he or she does wrong, she or he will understand you. Xa sisithi apha our officials zenza umsebenzi wazo both in the department. Sifuna ukubulela siniqhwabela izandla for the appointment of the new DG uMntakasileke. Sifune siqhwabela izandla ukuvala kwesikhewu kuTransnet umfokagama. Sisitsho sisithi nawe mfokantshanga kule nkokwe kweliziko lozophapho ungumntu wokuqala nomnyama ukukhokhela ithuba elide kangaka umcimbi usiya phambile. Ningadani ningatyhafiswa by all the insinuations, by the prophecies of doom. The ANC does its work to govern, and the opposition does its own work to say no to what is good for the South Africans. We are moving and we will never stall. We are moving forward for the benefit of the poor. Silapha bomama notata nabantu abatsha baseMzantsi Afrika. ANC is for you. ANC yabakhona ningekabikho. 104 years ago kwazalwa lo mbutho ufanelwe ukuba mawuhlaselwe ngabo bandlebe ezikhanyilanga. Zawukhanyilanga zide zibe mnyama ngoba lo mbutho akukhaphu yakhona. Lo rhulumente we-ANC uyaya futhi awujiki, hayi uyaya futhi uyaya, sewufikile. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Stander.
Stande.
Ngosi. Pravin Gordhan listed economic growth, job losses, business failures, lower revenue, and decreased investment as challenges facing South Africa. State-owned companies were created to obviate this. Instead, SOCs leech off the fiscus and contribute little to economic growth, job creation, industrialization, transformation, and investment. In fact, the weak balance sheets and poor performance of SOCs pose a direct threat to our credit ratings. I disagree with Honourable Luyenge. The Department of Public Enterprises has never been effective in oversight and governance. Despite spending 57% of its budget on salaries, it complains it's unable to attract and retain skilled ones. It then has to spend a further 14% on consultants. Without a legislative mandate, the ministry cannot take any remedial action against SOCs that are failing, other than change the boards. These boards lack experience and expertise to provide the required leadership. They are also shuffled around faster than a deck of cards at the Grand West. This creates instability. In 4 years, not one of the 31 recommendations listed in the Presidential Review Committee report on the reconstruction of state-owned enterprises in South Africa has been implemented. This ignominious delay is directly attributed to number one, who hid it from us. Rather than managing squabbles within the ANC, we need what Martin Luther King Jr. described as the fierce urgency of now. Ratings agencies are paying very close attention to how the anarchy within the ANC is affecting the reform of the SOCs. Both Minister Gordhan and number one hinted at reform this year. But the fact is, unless the ANC can agree on and communicate a specific time-bound plan before June, we are at risk of further ratings downgrades. The plan should include scrap the obsolete Department of Public Enterprises, invest the savings and revenue generated from consolidating and privatizing into creating an opportunity environment for people enterprise, reallocate SOC expenditure in the midterm budget review to fulfill government's real mandates. Remember, that is providing service delivery, safety, quality education, dignity, as the Bill of Rights demands. Transfer, and this is a solution for you, Honourable Ranto, transfer state-owned land to communities to expedite land reform and to municipalities so that they can create the inclusive communities, the urban areas required so that people can actually have access to the economic and social opportunities. Young black people, as a result of your continued failed policies. No. You have to admit it, and Stats SA confirmed it recently. Young black people are now more marginalized because of you than they were under the evil regime of an apartheid government. South Africans' greatest asset is our people, talented in diversity. Don't underestimate them. We need to build the capacity of everyone to improve their own lives, only if you invest in them. Invest in people enterprise, not public enterprise.
Your time is up.
Oh, hashtag ANC must fall.
Lungelson Peggy Nobanda.
Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Minister and Deputy Minister, Honorable Members, CEOs and management of our state-owned entities, our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Ke le dumedisa mo leineng le lentle la African National Congress. Ko tshimologong e re ke le re kere re le seboka sa African National Congress ra tlenegisa le go ema nokeng tekanyetso kabo ya borobongwe ya lefapha la dikgwebo tsa setšhaba. Modulasetulo, ntetla go tsena ka gangwe mo go se re se tletseng fa. The Department of Public Enterprises and State-Owned Companies under the portfolio play a critical role in the quality of life of our people. Although South Africa, along with the rest of the world, experienced economic meltdown since 2008, the SOCs within the portfolio of the Department of Public Enterprise was just under 1 trillion of assets has assisted us to avert a deeper and protracted economic decline that would have been the case without them. The investments of these SOCs contributing almost a third of the economic growth, which assisted in cushioning the country from the economic downturn. Chairperson, let me give a summary of the performance of the SOCs as per the 2014-15 annual reports. Eskom has been able to resolve its energy challenges even when challenges arose in meeting the demand. The SOC kept its eye on the ball and kept South Africa connected and working. In the distribution space, Eskom has ensured millions of our people who were neglected by the apartheid system have access to reliable and efficient electrical energy for their everyday needs. The effort continues with a further 335,000 connections planned at a cost of 5 billion in the medium term. The Power Bill program is creating job opportunities for our people to work and learn. At Kusile, 18,000 direct jobs have been created and 3,500 technical trainees produced. The project is on track to connect its first generation unit by November 2017. As we all know, on 26 May 2015, Midupi Unit 6 achieved full load of 800 megawatts. At peak, 18,000 direct jobs were created and 2,500 technical trainees produced. The project has released 66 billion into the national economy through a proactive localization and industrialization program informed by the DPE Competitive Supply Development Program. Some of the notable projects commissioned is the 350-kilometer transmission in East London and Harding and Vuyani substation in Umtata as part of the 1.8 billion Greater East London project. The project will enable further electrification of the rural households in the former Transkei area. And the commissioning of the 1.6 billion 428-kilometer Mercury Mogodi Ferrum transmission line, which connects Mercury substation near Orkney Northwest to Ferrum substation in Khatu, Northern Cape. The project will enable support of further energy-intensive project in Sishen area. Eskom has not been left behind in the renewable power space, with Sierra Wind Farm reaching full commercial operation on 31 March 2015, and it continues to provide an additional 100 megawatts to the grid. 564 jobs were created during the construction phase, with the majority of these jobs going to communities surrounding Kukenap in Western Cape. Puduhudu eta motelele ebetswa ke molamu sa o lebagana. Modulasetulo, the DPE and its SOCs are committed to ensuring that the infrastructure development programs are leveraged and improve the national skill base. In this regard, various skills development programs have been conceived and are encapsulated in the National Skills Development Strategy and National Skills Accord, which are aligned to the new growth path and the National Development Plan. The DPE, Department of Higher Education and Training, the Economic Development Department, and the Department of Trade and Industries are partners in the strategy and accord. The SOC training facilities shall be exploited to increase training of technical skills in order to address the national critical skills gap. This will be informed by the following commitments: expansion of the intake of existing training facilities, creation of internship and placement opportunities within operations of the SOC, optimize existing funding and incentives to encourage increased intake, investment in the FET colleges to improve the quality of training. Since the signing of the National Skills Accord in 2011, DPE SOCs have, over the past 5 years, collectively committed to enroll 11,958 trainees in various scarce and critical skills development intervention. Despite the tough operation environment that has had major impact on mining and other productive sectors of the economy, Transnet has continued to implement the market demand strategy. In this regard, Transnet has implemented its capacity expansion program as well as ensuring that there are productivity improvements, particularly at the seaports, to support the overall competitiveness of the South African economy. Although Transnet had to delay some of its infrastructure expansion program, it continues to maintain a high capital expenditure program. Some notable investment worth mentioning are the general freight business rolling stock renewal. As at September 2015, 60 Class 43 diesel locomotives had been delivered and put into operations, and all 95 Class 20E electric locomotives were delivered and put into operation. In the 50 billion 1,064 locomotives program, with China South Rail, China North Rail, Bombardier Transport, and General Electric, 153 locomotives are to be delivered in the 2015-16 financial year. The deliveries will be completed in the 2018 financial year. And there's also the coal export line expansion program expected to be completed by 2019. A total of 177 construction-related jobs have been created through these mentioned initiatives in the last 12 months at the various ports. These are just some of the investments, Chair. Asimanga siyaqhuba. Siyaqhuba simanga nangoku. Ndizayithena kanti, ndizawude ndifike kule ndawo ndiya kuyo. Denel continues to implement projects that support the development of advanced industrial capabilities and has become a global player in defense and aerospace industry. Through vigorous pursuit of export orders, which stand at over 50% of revenues, critical defense and aerospace capabilities in this country, which otherwise would have been lost due to constrained local defense spend, are being maintained and modernized. Modular Studio, the enormous contribution by the DPE SOCs to our economy cannot be overemphasized, and their commitment towards transforming the landscape of the South African economy, despite the current financial challenges, must be commended. We commend the Department on the results obtained by its SOCs. Go lefapha le setšhaba, rare, o se bone thola boretheteng ga yone go a baba. Le sa ba bona ba bua monate, mme fela boteng jwa bone go tletse bosemorafi, tlhaolele, lenyatso, makgakga, boitimokanyo le tsotlhe tsa go tsietsa setšhaba. A re ba tlhokomeleng, gonne sa bone ke gore rekisa le go rekisa kgololesego e re e fitlheletseng. Go dikompone tsa puso ke sa boeletsa nko ya kgomo mogala tshwara ka thata e se re go utlwa sebodu wa kgaoga. Ke a leboga modula setulo ya ka ke ne ke setse ke buile ra tlenegisa tekanyetso kabo ya lefapha.
Honorable Nobanda, Honorable Member.
Chairperson, I am sorry, but unfortunately I had to listen to the translation. But the translation said, and I want to check, please, if you can check if that was correct, that these nasty people are talking nonsense, and then they also talk about, they only have racism and they have nasty things in their hearts. That was what the translation, the English translation said.
Order, honorable members. Thank you, honorable member. I'm sure it's direct translation, but we'll also check the Hansard and come back to you. Thank you very much. Thank you, honorable Nobanda. Can continue.
Modula setulo ke nka se kgone go gogela mafoko a ka ko morago ke Setswana. Setswana ga se na toloki. Go mme Mazoni. Ke kopa go ra mme Mazoni ke mora ke re mme Mazoni nona pelo ka mathe. Ha go pe yo rileng PRC resolution di ka se diragale. Ntate sing ra leboga. Ntate wa go EFF ke a tlhaloganya gore ga o itse se o buang ka sone. Gompieno ne le sa ntlha o bona dipampiri tse ono di tshwere o bua ka tsone, mme re tla go itshwarela ra itse gore ngwana tlhogokgolo o sira rragwe. Ke a leboga.
Thank you. Lungelson Pegulungongoshe, Public Enterprise, Honorable Minister.
Do you?
Order, honorable members.
Honorable, you can borrow it. Honorable House. You know, Honorable Bozzoli, back off. You know, Honorable Chair, I think as leaders of this country, all of us, we have a really big responsibility in rebuilding a country. The deep scars that Honorable Member Ranto speaks about, that 21 years work to raise. We won't turn the economy in 21 years. We won't give everybody electricity in 21 years. If in 100 years you couldn't do it, why do you think we'll be able to do it in 21 years? But you know, the thing that really strikes me in this house today is the way the Honorable Groenewald speaks with me. That's what really bothers me here today. You know, Honorable Groenewald, you and I come from a very divided past. And the issue is, when you stand here and shout at me, you remind me of a very horrible experience I've had 21 years ago. And I think we all owe it to each other to be a lot more respectful, including you, Honourable Member from the Freedom Front. One of the issues that I would like to deal with, don't tell me what I can and can't do. It's not your place. I would like to get up here and say, generals, paratroopers, freedom fighters, let's all build this nation together, because that's who sits in this room, from very different backgrounds. But we've got to build a nation that the 10 young engineers will take forward. That's what we need to do. There's one thing I'd like to agree with Honourable Member Manzoni about. And the issue is, I would really like an investigation into the families who own the economy of this country. I really want to do so. And I'll tell you why. In ESCOM, just give me a moment. Don't shout at me anymore. Just give me a moment. In ESCOM, 51% of 119 million tons of coal is purchased annually by 4 families, 4 companies, to the tune of 23 billion rand. Ramaphosa fits in the part that spends 150 per ton. The other 51% is 23 billion rand. And I think we have an opportunity as a country to be able to share the wealth of this country. I think, and that is what I really want to do. And in fact, if with anything we take home here today, Honourable Member, Chair of ESCOM, and the DPE team, it is that we must investigate the costs, the high costs of coal to the 4 large companies in this country. And within that, we investigate all the companies. And that's something that we will do. Because we do have an opportunity to change the structure of the economy so that all people can enjoy this economy. And that is what I really want to be able to do. Honourable Kubise, you're right. He's not here, so let me not say he's right about anything. But Honourable Singh, you know the most terrible issue about that Richtersveld story is that 45 million sits in Alex Score. And the only reason we can't pay it over is because the deed of settlement says that it has to be paid over to a property company run by the 4 communities. And so Christmas passes, 15,000 rand could have gone to every one of those 3,000 families. It passes because we have not been able to get the community organized. And that is rural development's responsibility. And we have a meeting planned with rural development. I don't want a cent of that money to go to a lawyer. I want every cent of that money to go to the people of Richtersveld. And I hope that I won't come back here next year saying exactly the same thing. There were a couple of members who said that SOX, that DP mustn't exist.
Your time is up, Honorable Minister.
I really just want to thank my department, my DG, thank you.
Thank you very much. Before the EPC committee is concluded, I just want to go back to what Honorable Stein has raised in relation to the comment. The table staff has listened to the Hansard, and the reference was not meant to anybody. It was a general comment. No, it was not meant to any honorable member. It was not directed to any honorable member.
Honorable Chairperson?
Yes, Honorable.
Can I just get clarity on that? So as a group, we can be called racists?
No,
is that what the
I'm not sure if he referred to honorable members. It couldn't be anybody outside also. Well, it's a general comment. Thank you very much, honorable members. Members on order. Honorable members are reminded that the debate on rural development and land reform will take place at 14 hours here in the National Assembly chamber. So with that concludes then the debate and business of the EPC. Thank you. The committee will now rise.